The fluorescent lights overhead in the courtroom flicker slightly, casting long, stark shadows across the polished wood benches. The air is thick, almost suffocating, a tension seemingly weighing on every person present. Robyn sits at one side, hands shaking, a notebook clutched so tightly her knuckles are white. She catches her lip between her teeth, trying to steady herself, but her brain careens through memories of late-night arguments, whispered threats, and broken promises. Across the room, Christine's eyes are sharp and unyielding, the kind of stare that can cut through steel. Her lips curve just enough to show defiance and suspicion. Kody stands at the center, managing a calm smile, but the weight of the moment presses down on him like an invisible hand. The judge clears his throat, and the whole courtroom appears to hold still at the sound. "We're here to resolve issues that have stretched on far longer than they should have," he says evenly, his tone firm without being demeaning. Robyn swallows hard, attempting to steady her racing heart. She glances briefly at her sisters-in-law. Christine leans forward, fingers lightly tapping on the edge of the table, her jaw tight. Janelle sits quietly, her hands folded neatly in her lap, though her knuckles betray her tension. Meri shifts slightly, looking toward the door, as if escape might be possible if she just turned quickly enough. The judge continues with, "Let's begin by establishing the facts." Kody exhales slowly, the weight of years upon him. He had rehearsed this moment 1,000,000 times in his mind, but no preparation could have readied him for the storm of emotions waiting just beyond the courtroom doors. Christine mutters under her breath, "You might want to be careful with your words, Kody." Loud enough for the nearest rows to hear. The first witness is called, a longtime family friend. The young woman steps forward, her hands trembling, eyes darting nervously around the room. I didn't know it would come to this," she says softly, her voice shaking. Every word was like a minor explosion in the tense courtroom, drawing everybody's attention. She described a night nobody spoke about openly, a night that had changed the dynamics of the family forever. Kody's jaw tightened. Robyn bit her lip, holding back her sobs. Every new detail sounded like a hammer, carrying the weight of years of secrets to the center of the room. The family sat in tense anticipation as the witness finished and the fingers of the court reporter danced across the keyboard of her machine, capturing every word. Kody took a shaky breath and prepared himself. "I never wanted it to come to this," he admitted in a low, almost breaking tone. The words hung palpably in the air, as if even the walls held their breath. Christine's eyes narrowed, suspicion flaring. "Then why, Kody, did you never tell us the truth?" she snapped, the sharpness of her tone reverberating throughout the courtroom. The tension rises even further when the second witness is called up, Kody's eldest child. The room seems to shrink as the young man steps forward. Voice trembling, eyes wide. I didn't understand," he admits, and the words reverberate throughout the courtroom like some sort of haunting echo. The air grows thick with emotion, almost palpable, as he recounts events that only deepened the fractures within the family. Robyn leans forward, struggling for composure. Christine's fingers drum impatiently, a barely veiled signal of her anger. Janelle presses her hands into her lap tightly, fighting tears, while Meri looks down, shaking her head slowly, as if to wish the past erased. The court proceeds, with the testimony getting increasingly tense. Bombshell documents are brought in. Text messages, emails, notes. Proof that secrets were carefully hidden for years. Every word feels like a strike against trust. Each revelation a knife twisting in the heart of the family. Janelle gasps audibly. Meri covers her mouth with both hands, trying to stifle a cry. Kody's confident exterior fierily begins to crack, a sheen of sweat forming at his temple. Robyn's hands shake as she clutches her notebook, torn between loyalty and the urge to confront the painful truths unraveling before her. The judge tries to restore order, but even his calm authority cannot entirely quiet the rising storm. Whispered accusations travel across the benches. Suspicion glances pass between family members, and for the first time, the dynamics of the family are laid bare in full view. Christine rises slightly, her voice cutting through the tension. Do you really expect us to just take this without question? She asks, tone sharp, the echo bouncing off the high ceilings of the courtroom. Kody shifts uncomfortably. I didn't think anyone would find out, he says. The words hanging in the air like a silence far denser than any storm. Robyn's eyes begin to well up with her tears, but she swallows hard, fighting her composure. Janelle wipes her eyes quickly, attempting to act calm. Meri shifts uneasily, her expression unreadable, though tense as a coiled spring ready to snap. This room becomes a pressure cooker of emotions. Each and every face of the family members speaks volumes. Anger, betrayal, sadness, and confusion swirl together in a volatile mix. The gavel strikes once, commanding attention. We will continue, he says, firm but calm. Whereas, in fact, the tension in the air is almost unbearable. As Kody's voice shakes, he continues to relate past events, trying to explain, justify, and somehow retrieve remnants of trust. Christine leans forward, cutting him off abruptly. Your explanations don't change the facts, Kody. You hid so much from all of us. She cuts through the room like a knife. Robyn tightens the grip on her notebook, silently urging Kody to continue, to tell the truth, no matter how painful it may be. Tension rises to the peak as a new document is introduced, one that is sure to rewrite everything the family thought they knew about Kody's past decisions. Robyn gives a soft gasp, her hand flying to cover her mouth. Christine's eyes flash hot with fury and incredulity. Janelle looks down, biting her lip, trying not to cry. Meri says nothing, but her hands shake as the document passes down the bench. Even the judge leans forward, intrigued and concerned, as if he can feel the weight of what's going to be revealed. Kody takes a deep breath and turns to face the room. I never wanted to hurt anyone, he says, but the courtroom is deaf to excuses. The damage has already been done, the fractures in trust growing wider with every ticking moment. The women shoot heated glances at one another, the tension palpable. Robyn's voice shakes as she asks, Why now, Kody? Why reveal this now? The courtroom falls silent, waiting for that answer that may change everything. The session ends with an eerie moment of stillness. Everyone in the room knows that the first wave of revelations has set the stage for something much larger, something that can completely tear this family apart. Kody slumps, his face a mask of exhaustion and fear. Robyn clings to her notebook. Christine leans back in a glare. Janelle bites her lip. And Meri's eyes remain fixed on the floor, refusing to meet anyone's gaze. The courtroom holds its collective breath as it realizes the real drama is only beginning. Each secret, each unsaid word, each hidden betrayal was about to collide in a storm of emotion that was to force the family to confront some truths they've avoided all this while. The first session closed with one question dangling in the air. How much can a family endure when everything they thought they knew was unraveling before their eyes? It's as if the walls are holding their breath in the second session, with a heavy hush falling over the courtroom. Every person in the room feels it, a tension so thick it presses down on their shoulders. Kody stands at the center, his shoulders stiff, his jaw clenched. He knows that everything said in this session might irreversibly fracture the tenuous family bonds. Across the room, Robyn's hands are folded tightly in her lap, fingers interlocked, knuckles white. Her eyes flicker between Kody and Christine, searching for answers, for some sign of hope, or at least a shred of honesty. Christine leans forward, her gaze piercing, sharp as a knife. There is no room for doubt in her eyes. Every word that comes out of Kody's mouth will be dissected, judged, and challenged. The judge clears his throat, and the room falls silent. We will now hear testimony from a family member directly involved in the events in question, he says. Voice steady, but carrying an edge of warning. Kody swallows hard, his throat dry. He had imagined this moment countless times, but no amount of imagining can compare to the harsh reality of the eyes staring at him, judgment palpable in every corner. The first witness steps forward, Kody's eldest child. They seem so much smaller under the fluorescent lighting, their hands nervously fidgeting with a piece of paper that shakes in their hands. The courtroom shrinks around this small child, each heartbeat pounding like a drum. I didn't know, the child starts, barely above a whisper. I thought I knew, but I didn't. Tears well in their eyes as the atmosphere grows thick with unbridled emotion. Robyn leans forward, her hand unconsciously rubbing against her notebook, as if grounding herself. Christine leans back, hugging her arms tightly, trying to conceal the storm brewing behind her eyes. Janelle bites her lip in silence, her face a mask of emotion. Meri's eyes flicker nervously toward the courtroom doors. The child recounts moments, a series of events that had lain hidden from the rest of the family for years. Each word lands like a hammer striking delicate glass, shattering long-held illusions. I thought we were a family that shared everything. But there were secrets, they admit, voice cracking. Every person in the courtroom holds their breath. Kody looks down at his feet, guilt etched deep into his face. Robyn blinks rapidly, trying to hold back her tears, while Christine's jaw tightens, a flicker of anger sparking in her eyes. Leaning forward slightly, the judge casts a look over the rim of his glasses. Please continue, he prompts, though a note of caution is carried in his voice, aware that this tension is fast reaching its boiling point. The child nods and continues, recounting hidden conversations, clandestine decisions, and moments that forced them to make impossible choices. Every detail feels heavier than the last, layering upon years of unresolved tension. Kody shifts uncomfortably, the calm exterior he's tried to maintain beginning to crumble under the weight of scrutiny. Tears well in Robyn's eyes as she exhales sharply and blinks several times, trying to retain her composure. Janelle's lips compress into a thin line in an effort to remain composed, while her fingers have a slight nervous twitch. Meri looks down, hands clutching the edge of the bench so tightly her knuckles blanch. Christine, meanwhile, leans back in her chair, arms crossing, and utters under her breath, "You really thought you could hide this?" The words cut sharply, and everyone in the courtroom flinches slightly. The session escalates further when new evidence is produced: text messages, emails, and private notes that show a web of deception and secrecy. The courtroom gasps in unison, the soft sound reverberating off the high ceilings. With each message, decisions made behind closed doors are exposed, actions taken without consent, promises broken. Janelle gasps audibly, covering her mouth with both hands. Meri's eyes widen in a mix of shock and disbelief. Robyn leans forward, her hands trembling as she clutches her notebook. Christine's gaze hardens, anger in her eyes growing more potent. Kody exhales slowly, trying to compose himself. I never wanted anyone to get hurt," he says, his voice shaking. But the courtroom doesn't budge. The evidence is louder than any words. Robyn looks in his direction and can find only a glimmer of sincerity in his eyes. Christine slams a hand lightly onto the table, her head shaking. "You think excuses fix this? They don't," she snarls. The room hums with tension, and the storm of emotions might just overflow any second. The judge calls for order, but it's clear which way the tide will go in this emotional undercurrent. Whispers of accusations flow across the benches as suspicious and accusing glances are exchanged between family members. Every secret brought into the light builds into a spark that could ignite the entire room. Kody's hands shake slightly as he adjusts his weight, full well realizing his web of previous decisions was unraveling quickly. Robyn bites her lip to stop herself from talking out of turn, and Janelle presses her palms together to center herself. The expression on Meri's face hardens, and a steely determination forms in her eyes. Christine leans forward, glaring, her voice low and dangerous. Next called is a longtime family friend, one who testifies to hidden dealings and behind-the-scenes actions. His testimony is measured, but careful, and the weight of the truths he reveals is that of a sledgehammer. Every word in his testimony seems to slice through the fabric of trust that once held the family together. Kody audibly swallows. Robyn's eyes widen. Janelle's lips begin to quiver. Meri's hands slightly tremble. Christine's stare could burn holes in the walls. The friend tells of specific events in which Kody explained it one way, but there were discrepancies, times when he made choices in secret, and then those directly affecting the stability of the family. "You trusted him," the friend almost sorrowfully says, "and he made choices alone." The room falls silent for a heartbeat before the weight of the words sinks in. Robyn exhales sharply, trying to process. Christine mutters, "How could you?" Her voice quavered at the tightrope she is walking between anger and hurt. Things get even worse when Kody is confronted with an email that he thought no one had seen. The words are damning, evidence of miscommunication, broken promises, and hidden truths. Robyn gasps softly, tucking her notebook closer to her chest. Christine leans forward, eyes narrowing dangerously. Janelle presses her face into her hands briefly, as if the unraveling chaos is too much to bear. Meri stays still, her eyes unreadable but tense, like there's a storm brewing under her placid features. Kody tries to answer, his voice barely above a low, shaking murmur. "I never intended for any of this to come out like this," he says. Robyn looks at him, trying to find a glimmer of truth in his eyes. Christine shakes her head in incredulous disgust. The courtroom feels precariously perched on the edge of an emotional cliff, threatening to tumble over with the next word spoken. As the session reaches its climax, another witness delivers testimony that threatens to completely upend everything. The family reacts at once. Robyn gasps. Christine slams her fist lightly on the table. Janelle leans forward in disbelief, and Meri closes her eyes briefly as if bracing for impact. Kody's face goes pale. His earlier confidence is now totally destroyed. The judge calls for calm, but the storm of emotions cannot be contained. The courtroom is a powder keg, and every accusation, every revelation, and every confession sets off more kindling. Kody's hands shake as he attempts to remain composed. Robyn fights her battle to stay strong. Tears are welling up and threaten to fall. Janelle strives to keep her emotions in, while Meri sits rigid, tense with frustration and anger not quite suppressed. Christine's gaze cuts through the room, sharp, unyielding, and judgmental. The session finally ends with the family in stunned silence, each member processing the revelations, their relationships strained to the breaking point. Slowly, Kody exhales, exhausted and anxious, knowing full well that the chaos is far from over. Robyn clutches her notebook tightly. Christine's eyes are still ablaze. Janelle bites her lip to fight back tears, and Meri's hands shake slightly on the edge of the bench. The judge calls the session to a close, but the tension lingers on, thick and suffocating. The silent question echoing as the doors close on the last witness is how much more can this family take in before the fractures become irreparable. Thus, with the stage set, the emotions raw, the next session promises to plunge even deeper into secrets, betrayals, and shocking revelations. Session 3 commences with the courtroom feeling heavier than ever. Fluorescent lights create long, merciless shadows across the polished benches, making every tense expression all the more apparent. Kody Brown sits at the center on stiff shoulders, fingers tightly interlaced on the table before him. The weight of the previous sessions presses down like an invisible hand, a constant reminder that nothing he can say or do undoes the revelations already exposed. Robyn leans very slightly forward, her lips pressed together as her eyes glimmer with unshed tears. Christine sits across the room, her jaw tight and her arms crossed, the clear embodiment of suspicion and barely contained fury. Janelle bites her lip in an attempt to hold it together, though Meri's hands twitch nervously in her lap. The judge clears his throat. We will continue with testimony from Robyn Brown. His tone is calm, professional, but with a touch of caution. Everyone leans slightly forward, and the expectation is palpable. Robyn exhales slowly, gathering courage as she rises. The courtroom hushes even further as she steps into the witness stand, her notebook clutched tightly in hand. "I need to say this," she begins, voice trembling at first, "because the truth, it's heavier than I realized." Her eyes scan the room, landing briefly on Kody, Christine, Janelle, and Meri. Each glance carries emotion unspoken: guilt, defiance, pain, and fear. Years of secrets, of choices made without our knowledge, they've left scars we can't ignore. The words hang in the air, heavy with tension. Kody shifts uncomfortably, the confident exterior he's maintained for so long beginning to crack. Christine's lips tighten and her eyes flash with a dangerous mix of anger and disbelief. Janelle presses her palms together, wordlessly bracing herself for what's coming, while Meri's expression remains unreadable, though the slight tremble in her hands betrays her inner turmoil. Robyn recounts a night that changed everything, a decision Kody made years ago that had repercussions none of them could have foreseen. She speaks clearly, every word deliberate, every pause weighted with emotion. "I begged him to tell us," she says softly, tears forming in her eyes. "But he chose silence, and now we're paying the price." The only sound in the courtroom is the quiet tapping of fingers across keyboards from the court reporter. Kody struggles to maintain composure, his jaw locking tight, knowing that every glance, every whisper in the room is being recorded and analyzed. Christine leans forward abruptly. "Do you expect us to accept this after all these years?" Her voice cuts clear, almost like a blade through tension. Robyn swallows hard, fighting the lump in her throat, while Janelle glances toward the door, as if escape might be possible. Meri's hands clench into fists hidden beneath the table. It's a scene steeped in foreboding. A private recording starts, and the room collectively leans forward with palpable energy. Voices crackle through the courtroom speakers, confessions and accusations spilling out in real time. The recording reveals alliances, betrayals, and moments of deception that no one had spoken about openly before. Robyn's head bows slightly, tears spilling freely now. Christine's eyes narrow into a mixture of rage and disbelief. Janelle presses her lips together, trembling, while Meri's face remains unreadable, though her fists clench tighter. The recording finishes, leaving a thickness of silence in the air, like a knife could cut through it. Every member of the family is frozen in their seat, trying to process the weight of what they just heard. Kody swallows audibly, beads of sweat forming at his temple. Robyn wipes at her tears, trying to struggle through for control. Christine leaned back in her chair, anger radiating from her in waves. Janelle trembles slightly, trying to stay composed. Meri's eyes remain on the floor, but there is a glint of resolve forming in their depths. The next witness is called, a longtime family friend who has observed the Brown family's inner workings for years. Their testimony is careful, precise, but every detail exposes decisions Kody made in secrecy, moments that directly impacted Robyn, Christine, Janelle, and Meri. "You trusted him," the friend says quietly, "but he made choices alone, choices that affected everyone." The courtroom falls silent again, the weight of those words pressing down like a physical force. Kody shifts in his seat, a low sigh escaping him. I never wanted to hurt anyone, he admits, voice breaking slightly. Robyn glances up, searching his face for sincerity. Christine shakes her head in disbelief, muttering to herself. Janelle presses her hands into her lap, trying to steady herself. While Meri's eyes flash up briefly, the unreadable intensity behind them pulsating for an instant. The session reaches a new level of intensity when an array of emails is introduced. Words leap off the page, with each one exposing the choices Kody made, secrets kept, and promises broken. The women react immediately. Robyn lets out a soft gasp and slaps a hand to her mouth. Christine's lips press into a thin line, and her eyes narrow ominously. Janelle leans back and shakes her head, while Meri's hands shake slightly on the bench. The air feels electric in the courtroom, charged with the emotional fallout from the hidden truths that are now exposed. Kody tries to defend himself. His voice is low and strained as he says, "I thought I was protecting everyone. I never wanted this to come out." Tears well up in Robyn's eyes as she whispers under her breath, "Protecting us? Or protecting yourself?" Christine's gaze pierces through him, unforgiving. "You can't justify this," she says shortly. Janelle leans forward in her chair, overwhelmed. Meri clutches the bench tightly, her nails digging into the wood. The climax of the session comes when a new witness brings forth something so unexpected it shakes the courtroom to its core. The family members react instantly. Robyn gasps. Christine slams a hand on the table. Janelle's face contorts in disbelief, and Meri finally speaks up, voice low but firm, breaking the eerie silence. Kody's face pales, confidence shattered. The judge calls the room to order, but even the firmness of his tone can't still the storm. The courtroom is a pressure cooker. Each accusation, each revelation, each confession adding kindling to the fire. Kody's hands shake with the effort of trying to keep himself together as accusations fly around him. Robyn can't handle the emotion, tears falling unchecked. Janelle chokes back sobs, biting into her lip. Meri's eyes flash with determination, anger suppressed. Christine leans forward, her voice low and deadly, her eyes pinned on Kody with a look that could burn through steel. The session ends with everyone frozen in their seats, the shock so thick it's almost palpable. Kody exhales a slow, deep breath, tension etched into every line of his face. Robyn clutches her notebook. Christine's glare could cut through steel. Janelle wipes at her eyes. Meri fists her hands tightly under the table. The judge calls the session to a close, but the emotional fallout hangs in the air, as thick as smoke, promising that the next session will be even deeper into secrets, betrayals, and raw emotion. An unspoken question hangs heavy as the doors close. How much can this family endure before the fractures are irreparable? The stage is now set for the next round of revelations, at which loyalties will be tested, emotions will boil over, and shocking truths will leave everyone reeling. The courtroom is stifling as Session 4 gets underway. The tension practically vibrates in the air. The previous sessions have left the family raw, exposed, and on edge. Kody Brown sits at the center, his shoulders tight, jaw clenched, hands folded nervously before him. Robyn leans forward slightly, eyes red from earlier tears, her hands trembling as she clutches her notebook like a lifeline. Christine's gaze is sharp, unyielding, arms crossed, a mix of anger and disbelief in equal measure. Janelle presses her lips together, a tremble betraying her attempt at composure in her hands. Meri sits rigidly, fists clenched beneath the table, face unreadable but tension radiating from every muscle. The judge clears his throat as he prepares to begin the session. We shall now hear testimony from a witness who may shed new light on the events in question, he states. It gets quiet. All eyes turn towards the door as the courtroom door creaks open slowly. A figure steps inside and the room stiffens to attention. Everyone recognizes them, yet nobody had expected their arrival. The air shifts. A new storm is about to hit. Kody's face pales a little. Robyn's hand flies to her mouth, stifling a gasp. Christine rises just enough to lean forward, her eyes narrowing with suspicion. Janelle's fingers clutch the edge of the bench, shaking slightly. Meri's eyes are stuck to the newcomer, flashing with dread and anticipation across their gaze. What are you doing here? The judge asks, voice calm yet firm, with an unmistakable edge. The newcomer steps forward, confidently. Yet in the room, there is undeniably tension. I have information, they say, their voice steady, heavy with consequence. Information that changes everything you thought you knew about this family. The witness begins to reveal long-kept secrets, financial decisions made behind closed doors, whispered messages that placed seeds of distrust, and choices that touched the family in ways no one could have foreseen. Robyn gasps softly, her fingers tightening on her notebook. Christine's eyes flash with anger, her hands clenching into fists on the edge of her seat. Janelle leans forward, eyes wide, as if to drink in every word. Meri remains silent, face a mask of composure, but her fingers clench tight beneath the table, belying the tempest inside. Kody shifts uncomfortably, his voice low. I thought I was doing the right thing, he murmurs, but his words can barely carry over the charged atmosphere. Robyn looks at him, tears welling in her eyes in a wordless mix of disbelieving anger. Christine's lips press into a thin line as she shakes her head, muttering under her breath. Janelle wipes a tear from her cheek, while Meri exhales slowly, their jaw tight, the jaw muscles twitching under the tension. The witness presents documents, emails, and recordings that directly contradict Kody's prior testimonies. Each word falls like a hammer, ready to shatter the already fragile foundation of trust remaining within the family. Robyn sucks her breath in loudly, her fingers trembling, turning the pages. Christine leans back slightly, her mouth tight, the anger in her eyes growing. Janelle presses her lips together, bracing for the storm that is going to hit. Meri doesn't flinch, though tension in their posture shows a tempest is brewing beneath the surface. The courtroom erupts as the witness continues to recall hidden conversations, secret decisions, and betrayals nobody had expected. Kody swallows loudly, beads forming at his temple. Robyn's chest heaves, with her struggling to compose herself. Christine's eyes blaze with fury. Her jaw is tight. Janelle presses her palms together, shaking slightly, while Meri's hands shake just enough to give them away. Then, the moment no one saw coming, The witness reveals some long-held financial secret that threatens the stability of the entire family. Gasps ripple through the courtroom. Robyn covers her mouth, eyes wide. Christine slams a hand on the table, her face a mix of disbelief and rage. Janelle leans back, head shaking silently as she's taken aback. Meri's eyes flash, calculating as the implication begins to set in. Kody's voice shakes as he tries to explain. I thought I was protecting everyone, he says, but the courtroom is silent as the evidence speaks for itself. Robyn's lips quiver as she whispers, protecting us or protecting yourself? Christine leans forward, her voice low but cutting. You can't justify this, Kody, she says, her stare unwavering on him. Janelle presses her hands onto her mouth, shaking. Meri's eyes grow hard, her jaw clenched tight, her fists clenching under the table. And then a cascade of recordings play out. Voices from the past flood the room, naming alliances and betrayals and confessions nobody expected. Robyn's head drops slightly, her tears streaming onto her cheeks. Christine's eyes fire like flint. Janelle's hands shake, and she puts them to her lap. Meri's face stays controlled, but the storm inside her is palpable. Kody's composure finally breaks, and sweat beads on his forehead as he realizes the implications of what he's hearing. The judge tries to regain order, but the courtroom is a pressure cooker. Every corner ripples with emotions, from whispered accusations to barely contained anger. It threatens to spill over. Kody's hands shake while he struggles to talk. Robyn wipes her face, trying to hold on. Janelle bites her lip hard to stop herself from sobbing. Meri's fists are clenched, and her knuckles are white under the table. Christine moves forward, her voice low and deadly, staring into Kody through unrelenting eyes. Then comes the final twist of the session, when a hidden recording is played that shows some kind of plan or decision made by Kody that nobody suspected. Instantly, the family reacts, with Robyn gasping, Christine slamming a hand on the table lightly, Janelle's eyes in an odd shock, and Meri finally speaking, low yet commanding attention. Kody's face pales. His confidence is now completely shattered. The judge calls for calm, but the courtroom remains a whirlwind of raw emotion. Robyn clutches her notebook, her tears falling freely. Christine leans back, fists clenched. Janelle presses her palms together, shaking slightly. Meri's hands tremble, just enough to reveal the storm brewing inside. Kody exhales slowly, tension etched into every line of his face, knowing that the fallout from this session will ripple far beyond the courtroom walls. End P. The air is thick with tension and unspoken fear. The sessions so far have left everyone raw, exhausted, and balancing on the brink of emotional meltdown. Kody Brown sits at the center, shoulders slumped, his hands clasped tightly together, as if holding himself together by willpower alone. Robyn leans forward, eyes red-rimmed from earlier tears, fingers clutched white-knuckled on her notebook like a lifeline. Christine's gaze is sharp and unbending, arms crossed, seething suspicion and anger. Janelle says nothing, hands pressed together in her lap, trembling slightly, while Meri's posture is rigid, her jaw set tight, her eyes fixed on the floor, but alive with seething intensity. The judge clears his throat and starts the final session. We shall now hear the final testimonies and statements from family members. He says in a calm voice, but heavy in weight due to the authority it bears. The room goes into a tense hush. Everyone knows that what is said in this session could determine the future of the Brown family, emotionally, legally, and relationally. Robyn rises first, taking a deep, shuddering breath. I've tried to forgive. I've tried to trust. But the past, the secrets, they weigh on all of us, she says, voice trembling yet steady. Her eyes meet Kody's briefly, searching for remorse, for honesty, for something to hold on to. Christine leans forward, jaw tight, her eyes narrowing as she listens. Janelle presses her palms together, silently bracing herself, while Meri's fists tighten under the table, nails digging into her palms. Robyn recounts one last series of events, those moments that hurt the most, the decisions that led to the fractures now visible for all to see. We were supposed to be a family, she says, her voice low and quivering, but choices made in the shadows have left scars that may never heal. The weight of her words hangs heavy in the air, almost suffocating. Kody shifts uneasily, trying to summon a defense, but the words seem hollow against the emotional onslaught. Christine stands, her voice low but cutting. You think apologies fix years of lies? She asks, her eyes ablaze. You really think one explanation erases all the pain? The question cuts through the tension like a blade. Robyn bites her lip, holding back tears. Janelle presses her hands into her lap, steadying herself. Finally, Meri speaks, her voice measured but firm. We can't undo the past, but we can decide what the future looks like. The session escalates further when Kody gets a chance to speak. He exhales slowly, his voice low and strained. I never wanted to hurt anyone. His eyes flick from Robyn to Christine to Janelle to Meri. I thought I was protecting everyone, but I see now that I only made things worse. His confession hangs in the room, raw and vulnerable, and the weight of his words presses upon each family member. Robyn's hand flies to her mouth as her tears flow freely. Christine's eyes flash with anger, but also with a flicker of understanding. Janelle leans back slightly and exhales shakily. Meri's fists slowly unclench. Finally, the judge allows one more witness, a close friend of the family who has watched all these dynamics unfold, to have his say. His words are quiet but devastating. The truth has been hidden too long, he says softly. Every secret, every unspoken choice, it has consequences. And now, as a family, they must face them together, or risk losing it all. The courtroom falls silent, absorbing the magnitude of that statement. Kody's head bows low. Robyn wipes at her tears. Christine's glare softens slightly. Janelle exhales slowly, and Meri finally lifts their gaze, eyes filled with resolve. Then, the final revelation comes. One shred of evidence no one saw coming. A set of emails, hidden messages, and confessions that had never before seen the light of day surface. They reveal a truth about prior decisions Kody had made that no one in the family could have ever prepared themselves for. Robyn lets out an audible gasp and presses a hand against her chest. Christine slams a fist lightly onto the table, her face a mask of incredulity. Janelle leans forward, trembling, while Meri's eyes flash, drinking in the full implications. Kody's voice shakes as he responds. I made mistakes, he admits, shoulders slumping under the weight of the courtroom's scrutiny. I can't change the past, but I want to make things right, if it's possible. Robyn exhales shakily, tears streaming down her face. Christine remains silent for a moment, jaw tight, before finally nodding slightly. Janelle presses her palms together, a small gesture of hope, and Meri's fists slowly unclench, the storm inside them beginning to calm. Each woman is given a chance to speak, and the emotional climax builds. Robyn, her voice soft yet steady, admits her pain yet desires healing. Christine's words are sharp yet honest, a mix of anger and cautious hope. Janelle gives an emotional, raw, heartfelt testimony, while Meri's statement is measured, reflecting both pain and determination. The family dynamic hangs in perfect balance, each word and glance a possible tipping point. He leans forward, summarizing the key revelations and emotional beats of the case. This family has endured secrets, betrayals, and pain, he says, his voice even. But now, the choice to move on, to forgive, or to separate, lies with each of you. The words hang heavy with consequence in the air of the courtroom. Kody exhales slowly, knowing full well that his family's future depends on the choices made within the next few moments. Then comes the final twist, an unexpected confession by Kody about a secret he's held even from his closest family members. The courtroom collectively holds its breath. Robyn gasps. Christine leans forward sharply. Janelle presses her hand to her chest, and Meri's eyes widen slightly, her jaw tightening. It is a shocking revelation, yet it opens the door for healing and understanding. The session closes with the family in stunned silence, absorbing the weight of all that has been revealed. Kody leans back, exhausted, his face etched with regret. Robyn clutches her notebook, tears falling freely. Christine's arms are crossed, her eyes softening slightly, a flicker of hope in her gaze. Janelle wipes away her tears, taking a deep breath, and Meri finally relaxes, her fists unclenching as a hint of resolution shows in their posture. The judge calls the session closed, officially, but the emotional fallout lingers, thick and almost palpable. Every member of the family has one question to cherish. What will be next? Is rebuilding of trust possible? Forgiveness to be given? And how this family would survive the storm of secrets and betrayal that has been laid bare over the course of these sessions. Robyn finally stands, addressing the family and the room with a quiet, powerful voice. We can't change the past, but maybe we can decide what family means from here on. Christine nods slightly, a subtle acknowledgement. Janelle exhales deeply, eyes glistening, while Meri finally lifts their gaze, meeting Kody's eyes with a mix of challenge and hope. Kody swallows, emotions raw, realizing the path forward will be difficult, but perhaps not impossible.